folks. Today I thought I'd just share with you how we make Scandinavian egg coffee. What you'll need is a pot of water, coffee, and an egg. I'm making 2 cups of coffee, therefore I only need 2 tablespoons of coffee grounds, that is. Now if you're making more coffee, say like 10 cups or more, then you'll need to adjust your coffee grounds accordingly. But for this case, all I need is 2 tablespoons. And all you need to do is put your coffee grounds in the bowl, add your egg, and if you get a little bit of shell in there, it doesn't even matter. And you just stir the mixture together. Until it forms a mixture that is pretty thick. And what this is going to do is when you put this mixture of coffee grounds and egg into hot water, the egg is going to cook and it's going to trap all of the coffee grounds. And that's helpful when you pour so you don't have grounds in your coffee. Now one of the things you'll want to do is make sure that your water is at a really good boil. You don't want it having a roaring boil, but you don't want it to be just barely simmering either. You need that egg to cook pretty well right off the bat. We've got a pretty good boil going, so we'll go ahead and add the egg coffee mixture. And we'll just let that steep for a couple minutes. That's about all it takes. Now you might ask yourself, why would I want to have egg coffee? Well, there are a couple reasons I can think of that you might want to have egg coffee. One of them is it's kind of a neat tradition. It's from the Scandinavian territory. It's apparently the old way of making coffee. Right now it's traditionally a Midwest tradition. And because you can. The other reasons you might want to make egg coffee is because if you do wilderness camping, you don't want to have to carry in a lot of gear. And so this is a great way to make a cup of joe without having to pack in a lot of stuff. Chances are pretty good you might have eggs with you, and you're going to have a pot with you anyway. I'm not talking about the kind of wilderness camping you do when you bring nothing but freeze-dried food, but you get the point. Another reason you might want to have this technique in mind is if you ever have a power outage and you happen to have a wood cook stove like I do, it's great to be able to do this without having to have electricity. The first weekend we actually had this stove hooked up, we had a power outage that lasted several hours. And when everybody else was trying to figure out what they were going to do for breakfast other than cereal, we were out here making a cup of coffee and getting some eggs and bacon on, and it was great. And so it was really nice to be able to just kind of have this in the back of our minds when we did this. Other reasons might be that it does offer a different taste other than your normal percolated or coffee made out of a coffee machine. It does cut the bitterness in the coffee and the acidity. So if you have a sensitive stomach, but you really like your coffee, this is a nice way to get your cup of joe without having to down a couple tums afterwards. So we just let this steep for a few minutes, and when we start to see the water turn into that luscious brown coffee color, then we're done. My father has told me about when he was raised on the farm. They used to make large pots of egg coffee, and they would make a big pot, and they would drink from that all weekend. And he swears that by Sunday night, if you reheated that coffee, it was just as good as the first cup you ever had. I don't know if that's true, and I'm not really about to try it, but I find that interesting that you can have that reheated that many times throughout a weekend and it still be tasting good. So that says something, I think. But anyway, we'll continue to let this steep here. Now, another method that I've been told about, which is very similar to this, is when you have a much larger batch, you can add your egg and your coffee in it, and you'll have, you know, a clump in a bigger pot. And then when you're done, you add a cup of really cold water to it, and it'll make everything in this egg coffee mixture settle to the bottom. And then you can just pour your cup, or get your cup off the top. I haven't tried that. I probably will, but mostly right now I've been making these small batches, and that's kind of hard to do. So anyway, we'll let this steep for a little bit, and we'll get back to you here in just a moment. Okay, so once the coffee has steeped for a little bit, you just want to pull it off the heat and let it sit for a minute or two. Let it cool off some, and then you can go ahead and pour it in your cup, add whatever you'd like to add, and enjoy it. See if we can do this here. You can see all the coffee grounds and everything just stays right in the pot. It's a beautiful thing. And what you're left with is a nice clear cup of joe. Enjoy. Okay, go ahead and tell us what you're doing.
I'm cooking.
What are you cooking?
Some food.
You're cooking food?
Yeah.
What kind of food are you cooking? It looks healthy.
Yeah, it does look healthy. And it's really tasty. Nice when it's done.
Yeah? What are you cooking on?
This a burrito.
Is that your stove?
Yeah.
Ah, cool.
I see the water
You got water?
in the here. And the rest is of the holder. And the bottom has wood under it. Then I place wood under it. The wood and water goes down there and separates all the wood. Then it drops out there. Then it does its job, coming out of the bottom. The water comes down there. Then that. Then all of it gets carbonated.
Oh.
That means it gets all cooked.
Oh, good. Well, thank you very much.